Welcome to Midlife Schmidlife, the online community for listeners who want to redefine the middle years and recreate their lives lived to the fullest. Join our host, Liz Applegate, as she interviews guests over the age of 40 who are turning their maybe somedays into today and going after their dreams. Let's get the party started.
Hello, everyone. I am here today with my guest, Shirley Weir. Shirley is a 49-year-old mother of 2 teens, and she describes herself as a menopause chick. So much so that she's the founder of menopausechick.com. Oh, chicks, menopauschicks.com. Sorry about that, Shirley.
No problem.
I just really love Shirley's story. We are just, I think, 2 like-minded individuals who just feel that coming into midlife, it's just we need to be redefining and reframing this time in our life. Shirley says that, and I'm just going to read what she shared with me. She said, "I'll be damned if I'm going to let my daughter grow up in a world that treats midlife transition as a rarely talked about, shame-filled secret." So she is sharing her perimenopause and menopause stories. She's bringing them out of the closet so that we can have an open conversation. Thank you so much, Shirley, for joining me today.
Thank you. This is great. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to our conversation. And like I said, I love that we just have the same passion for taking this time in our lives and really having it a time of celebration.
Absolutely.
So you shared with me your story as to how you came to this point that you founded Menopause Chicks. Would you mind sharing that with us?
Oh gosh. So there was a few little stories along the way. Let me tell you a couple of them. One is, I can remember being at a girlfriend's place. It was a jewelry party. And so lots of women there, varying ages, but I remember there was 2 neighbors of mine in particular, and they really needed the window open. They were
Yeah.
hot. And you know what the sound is like at one of those parties, right? Lots of giggling, lots of chit chat. And then someone got up to open the window and it went quiet. And I was like, oh, isn't that interesting? No one really wants, it's fine to get up and open the window, but no one really wants to talk about why and what's happening. And wouldn't this be an excellent platform or opportunity to have the conversation? And so I just kind of noticed that. And I knew that I was having some perimenopause experiences myself, but I didn't ask the question. I'm not somebody that really likes to talk about bodily functions or even uncomfortable subjects for that matter. But there was still this thing inside me that said, this is a conversation that needs to be cracked open. Because, we can go to those parties or those backyard barbecues, and it's totally fine to bring up topics like politics and religion and cancer and, any money even, right? That have they're conversations that have been maybe traditionally or historically been, quote, taboo. But the conversation around menopause and perimenopause was really interesting to me because no one wanted to talk about it. And so I like to live on the edge a little bit and sometimes throw out those provocative ideas. And so I just decided, I told my husband at a coffee date that I had this idea. And he said, well, just do it. Right. And I said, oh, yeah, right. That's what I'll do. I'll just go home. I'll start a blog. No one will read it. It'll just be my journey. And that's what I'll do. And so I started menopauschicks.com and started to blog about my own experiences, and the universe cracked wide open. Everybody, everyone was so kind and generous with their feedback, and it kind of gave me the confidence that this is something that really needs to be shared.
Yeah, I love that you just took your own experiences and realizing that, and You really like you've said, you just kind of cracked open the conversation. You gave permission for other people to do the same.
Absolutely. There's so many myths and
Mhm.
misconceptions. I was just speaking with a woman this morning, or actually, we were texting back and forth in my private Facebook community. But she her quality of life is low. Those are her words, and she said, "But yet, I haven't had a hot flash yet." And so it's like there's this misconception that if you haven't
Mhm.
had a hot flash, you're not in menopause and something else
Right.
must be wrong with you. And so, we really need to erase the misconceptions that we have about midlife transition and put it out there in the open. Like, women deserve to have awesome information
Yeah.
about their health.
Right. Right. And something well, just so you know too, I'll share a little bit about my story is that
Please.
in my late 30s, I started, like just like you, started having symptoms of perimenopause. And I would go to the doctors, and the doctors weren't even giving me good information, or they'd put me on a birth control pill. And it's just like,
Mhm.
and I had had a tubal ligation after my third son. So this was just kind of like they were trying to find anything to help, right? So um it was so disheartening, and I remember saying to, the doctor that I still go to now, I remember saying, I remember being pregnant with my kids and having these What to Expect When You're Expecting books. Remember
Yes.
those? And then there
Yeah.
came What to Expect When You Have a 1-year-old or when you have a 2-year-old. So it's kind of I said, "Why are there no books? What to expect when you hit this time of your life? Why is that?" And it was funny because he just laughed and he said, "I don't know, that's a good question."
It's a great question.
Yeah, I mean, I think we need to write a book, Shirley. So
Well, write a book, but one of my first experiences after I decided that I was going to start a website, of course, where did I head? To the bookstore. And I was prepared. Like, I went in there prepared to buy all 30 books. Whatever they had, I was going to walk out with.
Right.
And I decided not to ask for help because I thought, you know what? I'm pretty sure I can locate these books. And so I looked for the health section. I looked for the women's health section, couldn't find them there.
Mm,
I thought maybe self help. I don't know. I thought that was a bit of a stretch.
right.
And then I found the books on perimenopause and menopause under a sign that said ailments and disorders.
Oh my gosh.
And you could have picked me up off the floor, but I grabbed my iPhone and took a picture
Uh-huh.
because there would, I'll be damned if my daughter and friends and family are going to shop for menopause books under a sign that says ailments and disorders. It's not a disease. It doesn't need, curing and fixing.
Wow.
Yes, there are experiences where we require support, and sometimes we require medical support or support from a trained professional,
Mhm.
but it is a natural transition. And you mentioned my daughter,
Mhm.
Liz.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would not want my daughter looking for a book on puberty and finding it under a sign that said ailments and disorders.
Right.
It's just not right. So,
Yeah. Wow.
yeah, that was a wow. The bookstore, by the way, I tweeted them immediately
Mhm.
and they've changed. And so I've taken the follow up picture to go with
Very
that.
good. Good for
So we're
you.
making progress.
Very good. Yeah. So what has been the reaction from your family and friends in starting this?
Let me start by saying, overwhelming
Mhm.
support from friends and family, lots of encouragement. Um, Lots of people I don't know or haven't met yet continue to offer words of encouragement. However, there has been a few surprises along the way, and a couple of those surprises were I would be so excited about what I was doing, and so I would bring it up at the cocktail
Right.
party. Sometimes I'd have women who were my age shove their hand in my face and say one of two things. They'd say, I didn't know you were 50 yet.
Mm.
I'm like, well, I'm not 50 at the time. I was like 46 or 47. And I was like, why do we need to wait until we're 50 to educate ourselves and to be proactive about our own health? I mean, perimenopause can be 5 to 15 years leading up to menopause. Um, let's get informed and find out what's happening. And the second thing that some women would say to me is, oh, I'm not there yet.
Right. And I actually knew I knew you were going to say that because I remember getting that same reaction from people.
Fascinating.
Yeah, it's kind of like, let's stick our head in the sand until we have to really deal with it.
I mean, it's probably a human condition. We would rather shy away from uncomfortable topics than lean
Mhm.
into them. Um, and I'm sure that the funeral planners or, those people have similar experiences. But if we want to live a long, healthy life full of vitality, a doctor, when I first started doing some research, I went to this event at a women's clinic. And I was there fully expecting to learn everything there was to know about estrogen and progesterone and testosterone. And, I was like gung ho to
Right.
dive into the research. And the doctor stood up and she said, at the turn of the last century, women lived to be 50. So menopause was a non event. Now we expect to
Mhm.
live to be 100, except our retirement communities and our senior homes are full of women because women tend to outlive men. And those women are often plagued with
Mhm.
osteoporosis or dementia. How do you want to live your life now so that you can affect the quality of life that you have in your later years? And I was like, whoa, kind of just really hit me because I thought, I'm here to learn about hormones.
Right.
No, it's really about vitality and quality of life.
Yes. Yes. I'm shaking my head and just letting that all sink in because I do think we forget that the even at our age, right? And it's so funny, you would think we would realize this by now, but we really are not just looking at life right now, but how can we sustain a quality of living when in health and in happiness for as long as we can, and why wouldn't we want to do that?
Yeah, and I don't mean to sound preachy
Preach.
because really, when I say those, when I no, but really, when I preach that message, I'm preaching it to me, right?
Mhm.
Like I'm someone who
Mhm.
has probably
Right.
lived her life kind of feeling invincible. I'm very blessed. I'm very
Mhm.
healthy, um, but I don't want to take that for granted.
Right. Yeah, yeah. Well, honestly, like, I would love to give that doctor a standing ovation because that that is,
Right.
you don't hear too much of that actually. Um, I know that for me, the first exposure that I even had to find the doctor that I do have now was through the book that Suzanne Summers came out with, and,
Mm,
not that, I mean, that's like Hollywood, glamorized and everything, but it
mhm.
still opened the door for a conversation and for what to look for. Um,
Absolutely.
what, what advice would you, I mean, so would you mind just sharing maybe some misconceptions that people have of perimenopause and, what are some symptoms?
Sure. Well, first of all, the term perimenopause was only invented in the 1990s. So it's a relatively new term concept. There's very little research on perimenopause. And so I'll share some
Mm,
definitions just to start off. So, my definition of menopause is one day, and it's the 12-month anniversary of your
mm,
last period.
right,
Your very last period. So if you go 10 months without a period and then you get it again, you start counting over, which is
right.
exactly what happened to me. Perimenopause is 5 to 15 years leading up to menopause. So, like you said, and my first experience looking back with perimenopause was when I was 39. And I reached menopause this year, by the way. I
Yep.
had a little
Love
party
it.
and a celebration,
Love
invented a
it.
cocktail. Um, yes, I was 49 when I reached menopause. So, kind of around the average age, which is 51.2. As I mentioned earlier, I think the media or the movie industry, I mean, if they do talk about it, have led us to believe that menopause is not something that you need to worry about till you're 50, and that it has to do with hot flashes and night sweats. And maybe we can thank the advertisers for that too, because there's plenty of advertisers out there who are offering magic wand solutions to hot flashes, thinking that's the only thing. The list of potential perimenopause experiences, and I like to use the word experiences rather than symptoms, because symptoms implies that it's a disease. It's quite long,
Mm-hmm.
but I'll share with you some of my experiences. Brain fog. So I run my own marketing and communications company. I'm, as you mentioned, a mother of two, and being productive in my workday and my personal life was very important to me. And I got hit with brain fog. I also got hit with sleep disruption and probably didn't sleep through the night for about 10 years. Um, that certainly impacted my quality of life and probably
Right, right.
impacted my brain fog. Depression, anxiety, my boobs hurt. I started to have a couple of chin hairs. I wondered what the heck was
Yeah.
going on. I mean, these are all experiences that can help you identify whether or not you're in perimenopause. The other thing that I found really fascinating and found that very few people would talk about is the change in your period. So periods can get heavier, they can become irregular, they can trigger more extreme PMS. Those types of things are really indicative that your hormone levels are changing and that you are in perimenopause.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just having flashbacks. Flashbacks. Yes. So what happened, I will share, what happened with me was my periods became so erratic and so irregular that I would have them for months at a time. And so
Mm,
it got to be that no matter the amount of hormonal trying to stop that, I ended up with pretty severe case of anemia and had to
right.
have a hysterectomy. So I actually went through, I was in perimenopause, but not in menopause. But I woke up after surgery and I was in menopause. So,
Yes.
um, and that is
Yes.
always something that we sometimes expect that we have this set amount of time. And like I did, I really was not expecting to be in menopause. It was kind of right.
No one
No.
prepared you for that day after
No,
surgery?
and that was, I have to say, and I actually had a different doctor than I have now. I think if I would have had the doctor I have now, it would have been totally different. But, I went through some pretty severe emotional changes. I mean, I don't wanna say changes is not it hit me very emotionally. I started really questioning who I was now. And I know that my situation may be a little bit different in that, I had, with the hysterectomy, but mm,
It's a very common story that women who have surgery are not
mhm.
prepared for the day after. The surgeons, for whatever reason, don't see it as their job to
Right,
prepare you for
right.
menopause.
They just right. That
They're
was that
fixers.
was his job, was just to perform the surgery. It was not
Hmm.
his job to take care of the patient, and that's unfortunate, and something
Yeah.
that I hope that more women get on board with our conviction and really start to change that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't get me wrong. I'm
Mhm.
very grateful for surgeons because the world needs their talent. And I really think that if we want that to change, that, taking care of the whole patient,
Mm.
that it starts with us. I think that that's the only place it can start. Women need to know what direction they want to go in and who they want to have on
Yes.
their healthcare team, because it takes a team. We can't expect everything from one
Right.
person.
Right. Yes, and that is so true, and in hindsight, when I look back to it, I think of that too. I found him to fix a problem, but I didn't think about
Mhm.
the long term of having him on my team. And,
Right.
yeah, I so agree. And what an empowering feeling too, to think that that's how we should think about our own, taking care of our health, really.
Absolutely. I mean, I do applaud some of the shifts that are happening in healthcare right now, and there are a lot more integrated practices. Um, so that's good news, but I still believe we have a long way to go. And as an individual, it is up to me or up to you to decide what works best for you as well. So I'm not going to tell you who to have on your healthcare team. If you have a great relationship with your family doctor and things are ticking along, that might be
Mhm.
all that you require. But on the other hand, you might be interested in what a naturopath might be, how a naturopath might be able to support you, or you might be interested in
Mm.
counseling, or you might want to experiment with meditation or yoga. I mean, really, I think that the
Mhm.
spectrum is quite broad. But you got to ask yourself, the questions. What is it that I
Right.
am looking
Right.
for?
Yeah, I'm just soaking all of this in, and actually, like, really what I will be honest about what I'm doing is reevaluating actually what I'm doing for myself. And, eh, I've, this is maybe an overshare, something I wasn't quite prepared, wasn't expecting me to speak into, but um, I've realized that there still are some, back up a minute. After my surgery and realizing that this doctor was not who I wanted to be on my team, I was not getting the support that I needed. I went and found another doctor. It took some time. I actually took time this time to interview a couple and asked my friends who they were going to. So I did find a doctor through a referral from a friend. So I am taking bioidentical hormones right now, but I've realized that something's changed. Like, I don't feel the way I want to feel, and I'm not expecting to feel like I'm 20. That would be nice. That would be nice, but
Hmm.
um,
Hmm.
I as you were talking, I'm realizing, I really need to be more proactive about that. I really need to talk to my doctor or look into other things that can be an additional to the care that I'm getting.
Yeah, and I think that, the message for your listeners too, again, there's no magic wand solutions. I am also taking
Mhm.
bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. I started last December. I probably left it too late. But the important thing to remember is the conversation that you have with your healthcare provider. So it's an ongoing conversation, not a magic wand solution. Um, and I even expected it to be magic. I'm like,
Right.
okay, I'll just do this and then it'll be, and then I'll feel better. But no, you know, the length of time
Mhm.
that you're on it needs to be discussed. The dosage amount needs to be discussed. It
Mhm.
needs to be continually monitored and tweaked. And those conversations, probably need to
Right.
continue for the
Right.
rest of our lives, right?
Yes, so very true. And I'm gonna, as a side note, I mean, this is something funny too that I realize as I am always going back for my checkups and for my, to the monitoring. They take some blood work and stuff. I sit there in a waiting room with pictures of cuddly little babies and pregnant women. And
Mm.
I go in there and I just think sometimes, why isn't there a picture of a 50-year-old woman with, you know, I don't know. It's just this holistic thing. And I have a great doctor, but it still is that message of, this is the prime of your life is when you are at the childbearing stage, and then we're just going to forget about you after you hit 39.
I am so glad that you brought that up. I don't know too many people who have done this, but if you Google menopause or
Oh,
perimenopause and then click
it's
on
horrible.
images, it is absolutely, well, first of
Right,
all, we're just not represented. I mean, the only pictures that pop up are of
right.
gray-haired women holding fans. And if there's any gray-haired women holding fans that are listening, I'm sorry, but that's not exactly what we look like when we are experiencing
Mhm.
perimenopause and menopause. It just isn't. And it's not the
Yeah.
women's fault,
Yeah.
it's the
It's the same
advertisers.
thing when you Google midlife. And actually I talk about that somewhere, a
Mm,
blog post or somewhere on my website. I actually talk about that because as I was looking for images for my website and, to do some promotional work, um, I did the same thing, and it was women, a lot of times with fans, um, gray-haired, and I thought, "Okay,
yep.
that's just not me. I'm not that's that's not a representation of who I am or even how I feel or how I want to feel." And, I mean, there are some beautiful gray-haired women, and I don't mean that in any disrespect,
Yes.
but, um it's just interesting that advertisers and almost society has this picture in their mind, and we fall prey to it, actually.
Yeah, I
There
agree. But there's some good news. You
Yes.
know, there's Jane Fonda, who has an amazing TED Talk and a book called Prime Time. And I mean, I adore her and I
Right.
absolutely embrace her message. So there's some good news, but generally speaking, I agree. I mean, why are we not represented in primetime TV or on the brochure in the doctor's office? I think we have a long way to go, a lot of
Definitely.
work to do
Yeah,
in that area.
definitely. So, I love I in listening to you talk about this, and what I love hearing is I can just so see and hear the transition from you from starting this menopausechicks.com personal blog into now you have become a woman of great knowledge, great, you know, just the great skill of listening to people and helping them find the way for themselves. How have you been surprised at that change?
One of the things that I am surprised about, because I have a bit of a monkey brain, and I
Yeah,
get
I
excited about a lot of different things. And I think one of the greatest surprises for me is that my passion has grown and it has deepened, and I haven't lost any of the drive. I mean, this is absolutely a topic that, you know, I am always try to imagine myself sitting in my rocking chair at the end of my days, and I do not want to be sitting in that rocking chair regretting having not cracked open this conversation or at least helped a handful of women get through an experience that could be
Mhm.
otherwise frustrating for them.
Yeah.
It's what I'm meant to do at this
And I
point in
can
my
hear
life
that
for
passion in
sure.
your voice. I'm very appreciative for that as well. We need you, Shirley.
Yeah, we need you, Liz.
Oh. So what do you think the biggest surprise has been since you've taken on this endeavor? Other than
Biggest
other than the
surprise?
growing passion, because that I mean, I can relate to that as a monkey brain multi-passionate person as well.
Yeah. Well, I guess probably the biggest surprise is when I started out, um, I certainly was committed to curating the best of the best information and, try to shorten the distance between 2 points for women who are doing online research on perimenopause. I mean, and that is still very much my goal and my mission. But the biggest surprise has been the aha that came when I decided that I can flip all of the language and the vocabulary and start like really put a stake in the ground and say, I am
Mm.
not going to use the word symptoms. I'm going to talk about experiences. I'm going to start changing the way I think about the experiences. Yes, we might need support along the way, but what if I just replace the word hot with whole? What if I replace the word bitchy with beautiful? And that's been the biggest surprise for me. And, it's kind of come through in some of the quotes that I post on Instagram. I love quotes. But, if you can change the way you look at something, I think that's a Wayne Dyer quote, actually. Change the way you look at things, and the things you
Yeah.
look at will change. That's been the
Yeah.
biggest surprise for me.
Wow. That just gave me goosebumps.
This isn't cancer. This isn't some of the world problems that exist right now, but women do rule this world, and we need to be as strong and as happy and as whole as we
Yeah.
possibly can be.
Right.
So it's important.
What has grown out of you starting menopausechicks.com?
Two things. Well, one, personally, what has grown is my
Yeah.
own confidence and my ability to be vulnerable. And the other thing that I'm probably most proud of that's grown is a community. So right now in the Menopause Chicks Facebook community, there are women coming on there every day. And I know that some of them are there to see if anybody else is asking their
Right.
question, because that's what a lot of women do. It's always easier to see if someone else has asked it than to ask it yourself. There are women posting questions, and they're being answered by other women, and they're being answered by
Oh,
professionals who
wow.
are volunteering their time to go in there and say, hey, I have an answer for you, or I have a link to an article, or I have a suggestion or a recommendation. And
Yeah.
that lights me up. Like, it truly lights me up to see women helping other women, to see women saying, me too, you know, I had sore breasts too. And, here's some information. It's like, oh, wow, that's so good. Because now that woman who's having the experience, she may have woke up this morning feeling like
Right.
she was the only one in the world, and feeling like she may not have anyone to talk to or have a strong support network. And now, by being part of a community of women who are cracking open the conversation, she feels validated and perhaps has a little bit more knowledge so that she can seek out the journey that's
Yeah.
right for her.
Yeah. Yeah, and I, am a member of your group, and, I just love seeing that as well. And I'm hoping that it's changing, but I know that in teens and 20s, I don't know, sometimes felt like women were just tearing each other down, and you can
Mm-hmm.
still kind of see that a little bit in parenting. Women just have this tendency to, I don't know, not support one another. So I do want to commend your community, and I just love seeing that. I just think that's just beautiful. And really, if we just start having these conversations and lifting each other up, it's just what a much better world I feel like we can help to create as well.
Absolutely. It's a great opportunity
Exactly.
to practice compassion.
And and as well, just practice having those conversations that we might not normally have and kind of grow in that confidence just as you have. Not only is this about an online community that you've built, this is also about your own journey, your own what I call like a midlife tada. Like this is something that you've created
Mm-hmm.
in the middle years of your life. Say that say this is me 10 years ago looking at these changes that I'm having that are going on and not sure where to look, what advice would you give them of where to start, or give me where to start?
I think the first place to start is with yourself. And I know that this might sound a little woo woo to some people, but as a culture and as a society, I think we have to move away from the concept that the answers lie with somebody else, that they're external, that all I need to, because this was my mistake, that all I need to do is to go to that doctor's appointment and bring up the
Right.
conversation and all will be well. It was literally my expectation when I brought it up with my doctor at 41. And then I was disappointed in what she said to me. And I left. I walked out of that doctor's appointment thinking, geez, Cheryl, it must be all in your head. You're
Right.
making this up. Suck it
Right.
up. Right? But it was my
Mhm.
expectation going in that needed the fine tuning. So I think the place to start is with yourself. What are your healthcare preferences? What is it that you want? Are you looking for a quick fix? Are you looking to adjust some of your diet and exercise or other lifestyle um, qualities? Um, and then I would say, have as many conversations as you possibly can. If it's possible to talk to your mother, do that. Talk to your sisters, ask your friends. It might seem uncomfortable, but I can almost guarantee that when you do start to crack open the conversation, there will be other women who want to have that conversation with you because they're
Mhm.
walking the same path or have walked the same path and want you to have
Right.
a quality
Right.
experience.
I got told, basically when I started this conversation with my then doctor was, well, you're just getting to be that age. It's what's to be expected.
Mhm.
Yep.
It's part of being a
Yeah.
woman.
Yeah.
Really?
Right.
And there's something else to
Yeah,
consider
please
too,
do.
Liz, if I can just add to that, is that it's an understanding that perhaps our mothers or our grandmothers' experience is not going to be the same as ours. It can be an indicator, but the reality is that women right now are running corporations, we're running households, we're
Mhm.
compromising our sleep, and we're compromising our diet and exercise in some cases. And so, all
Right.
of those things layered on top of a natural hormonal shift at midlife, the product is different than it's ever been before. And so, I think it's really important that, as I said, that you
Mhm.
start the conversation with
Yes.
yourself.
Yes. And honestly, that doesn't sound too woo-woo. I think that's just good sound advice for
Good.
most things. Yeah, yeah.
Awesome.
So what do you feel are some big misconceptions with perimenopause and menopause?
There are so many. I mean,
Yeah.
the first I already mentioned is, one of the misconceptions is that it needs to be something that's fixed or cured. So, 20% of women, according to my research, 20% of women sail through perimenopause. They might have some
Mhm.
experiences, but they're not life altering. 80% of women will have experiences that range from slight to moderate to severe, and severe meaning that they do require some
Mhm.
external support. But the thing is 100% of women go through perimenopause, so it's really important that we don't have the misconception that it only
Right,
happens to
right.
some people.
Yeah, it
And that I
is.
always
It
find that
is
humorous.
actually.
The other big misconception is, that the experiences are only the ones that we hear about
Mhm.
in media. That it's only the bladder leakage because there's commercials for support in that area, or that it's only the hot flashes or night sweats. There are many other experiences that result
Mhm.
from a hormonal shift. And so it's important to get educated on what that list
Right,
looks like
right.
or could look like.
If I wanna go back because like I mentioned before, this is not just about you creating this online community and, all these great resources, but it's also about your own journey. And you made mention about
Yes.
how you just knew that this was something that you knew you were supposed to be doing. How what advice would you give to other women who are, wondering what it is that they're supposed to be doing? What are some indicators that you could guide them on?
I know that not everyone in the world thinks like me. So there are women, there are people that are very happy to retire from the job that they started 30 years ago, press the pause button until they can get to 65. That's not who I am. So what I'm about to say is really intended for people who may have an entrepreneurial spirit or may have that monkey brain that get
Right,
excited
right.
about a lot of different projects. But I think that the best advice is, to have confidence in your own abilities and to have confidence in your own
Mhm.
sense of happiness. And so I've been very fortunate. I've had a marketing and communications company for 16 years that's allowed me to work from home and raise my kids, and all that's fantastic. And so, I just want to follow my dream and my idea and take it into reality. So do that. Don't question it. Don't say it's too late, you're too old. Don't believe any of those messages. Just follow your idea and follow your heart.
And I think something that's good to point out too is you started this not really with the intention of it being what it is now. I mean, that's not the that's not the
Yes.
impression I got. It was more just like this is something I'm going through, and I'm going to share my story. It was you just followed something that you kind of had a little inkling of, like, well, maybe there's other people out there that would want to know this. So I think that that's
So
important
true.
too,
So
is that
true.
you found this passion from just taking that first step. It wasn't like you thought, oh, I'm going to build this great big community and this lovely website and have all this stuff. I think we can get lost in that expectation for sure.
Definitely can get lost in that expectation. And, there are so many amazing women who have messages to share, right? It doesn't have to be a midlife message, it can be a message about
Right.
anything that you're passionate
Yeah.
about. Just share it because you're
Right.
not alone in that journey, right?
So, is there anything planned on the horizon for Menopause Chicks or for yourself? Or
Yeah. Well, 2016, I've declared as my year, and I really carved out some time to attack my goal list. So far this year has been awesome. I gave the website a little bit of a makeover. I hosted a retreat in
awesome.
Whistler.
Hmm.
I live in Vancouver, British Columbia. Hosted a retreat which was just amazing. And the theme of the retreat was it's time to put yourself
Awesome.
at the top of your to do list. And then for the second half of this year, I am working on building a platform for women to connect with midlife health professionals who can support their journey. So I think that that is going to be key in the next step because we have the ability to go online and to get informed and to find awesome free information, and that might be all you need as a individual in your midlife journey, or you might want to take it to the next level and you might want to look for someone who can support, and that could be, as I mentioned, a doctor or a naturopath. It could be a registered dietitian. It could be somebody who teaches yoga. It could be someone who sees clients online. So I'm looking forward to taking the
Mhm.
community
That's
to that next
exciting.
level.
That's very exciting.
Yeah, it's very exciting. And I have to tell you, the professionals and the experts that work
Hmm.
in this category are so
Hmm.
kind and generous. I have met such amazing doctors and healthcare professionals, and really, they are just passionate about changing the conversation and making sure that women in midlife do not
Mm.
suffer in
That is
silence.
reassuring. That really is. That makes me smile because,
Good.
yeah, we need that.
Good.
Well, I want everyone to know that I will have links to menopauschicks.com, which is Shirley's website. I'll have that in the show notes, and also a link to her private Facebook community where you can join and get support and offer support and just be a part of such a lovely endeavor. And Shirley, is there anything else you want to add? Anything that came up maybe as we moved on a couple paces or?
Well, only that I would like to
Oh,
turn the tables and have an interview with you,
oh,
Liz.
I'd
I
be
love
very
what you're
happy to do
doing.
that. Very happy to do that. Yeah, we will. We
Let's set
most
that up.
definitely will. And like I said, I love how you and I both just have this passion. And mine, I'm going to come clean in that the whole word midlife, I'm doing air quotes here, really bothered me.
Yes.
Right. So it
Did it?
because it just had such a negative connotation to it, and that was my goal was to kind of reframe and redirect. And I just have to smile at here we are. I'm in Texas, you're in Vancouver, and we just have this passion for taking this time in our lives and really inspiring ourselves, but also in trying hoping to inspire others to really, look at this time of life as being, like you said, a blessing and a new opportunity. So that makes me very happy, and I just feel very honored that we are on the same team.
Oh, well, I love
Yeah.
that. I love being on your team. I love the rebranding of midlife. I think midlife is not a
Mm.
number, but a frame of mind. And you're doing an awesome job at reframing what it
Thank
means.
you.
So
Thank you very
kudos.
much. And thank you, Shirley, for taking some time today and sharing your message with us. And I just know that it's going to really help women and really help them seek out the help and support that they need. So thank you so much for joining me today.
You are most welcome.
Thanks for joining Liz for the Midlife Schmidlife podcast. Remember, some days are never on your calendar until you put them there. Until next time.